Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today we're doing 1994's Pulp Fiction. This movie was a request. Like we said in the previous video, we're doing a bunch of requests back to back to back to back. So
that's right. We got to get you people off our backs.
Exactly. So without further ado, we're doing 1994's Pulp Fiction, but before we get into it, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you can follow me at Junior D's. You can follow Corey at Idle Poncho, and let's get into it. So this movie, Pulp Fiction, stars John Travolta as Vincent, Samuel L. Jackson as Jules, Uma Thurman as Mia Wallace, Ving Rhames as Marcellus Wallace, and Bruce Willis as Butch. This is a Tarantino joint, right?
Yep.
And I really like Tarantino.
Yes.
His style of directing was very fresh at the time. And,
totally.
You know, since then, a lot of people have copied from him and bitten off of him and whatever. But sometimes this, not so much, because I haven't seen this in a long time. But whenever I hear like, oh, we're going to watch a Tarantino flick, I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to be so confused about halfway through this. I'm not going to remember. This movie was actually one of the most comprehensive of all of Tarantino's films. This was a hell of a lot easier to follow than some of his other flicks.
Well, even though it's chopped up, it's very easy to understand each character's basic plot.
Yeah.
They're trying to get from point A to point B. Yep. Cool. In a lot of his movies, like you said, it's very, you don't know where it's going. For example, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love the movie. I had to watch it 3 times before I was like, oh, wow, I get it now.
Exactly.
I didn't understand it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So, yes, this is by far one of the easiest, most tightly packaged movies he's made.
Exactly. So this movie opens up, and this movie, basically, for the uninitiated, this movie interweaves 3 different storylines.
Yes.
And it does jump from storyline to storyline, but it's got a nice little bow on the end, and this is great. So,
oh, you mean it's like Crash?
So this movie opens in a restaurant with a couple. Honey Bunny, played by Amanda Plummer, and Pumpkin, played by Tim Roth. They're discussing the pros and cons of robbing banks versus liquor stores. Then they bring up restaurants, and they decide, screw it, we're going to rob the restaurant that we've just eaten at.
What a fantastic opening scene, only to have it revolve all the way back around at the very end. Fantastic setup for what this movie's going to entail.
Yeah, and when I first watched this, it was one of those where that scene happens because it goes from here and then it cuts to Jules and Vincent in the car driving to the apartment building. And when you first watch it, about halfway through, I was like, what the hell does that restaurant scene have to do with anything? But like you said, it comes back around at the end. But the next scene is Vincent and Jules. They're driving to an apartment building to get a briefcase from some halfway crooks that are in this like shitty apartment that are somehow doing business with Marcellus Wallace.
Well, the way I understand it, the big theory is that it took Chad and Shaggy and couple other of his buddies to go into Hades and actually get back Marcellus Wallace's soul, because he had sold it to the devil.
Okay.
So, I mean, look, if you're gonna if you got to go talk to the devil and you got to steal something from the devil, I absolutely would agree. Send Chad, because he's gonna get that. He's the only one that can figure it out.
Yeah. So, well, and apparently this the leader is Brett, and they get into the apartment, and they immediately know like shit's gonna go down. Jules goes on one of the greatest. This is one of the Samuel L. Jackson's greatest monologues of all time.
Does he look like a bitch? No! Then why you try to fuck him like a bitch, Brett?
And then he cuts into the Bible verse, which it was one of the most quotable like movie clips of that year.
100%. Basically, this whole movie, I mean, from the point where they cut to Vince and Jules in the car talking about the Royale with cheese and Le Big Mac.
Yeah.
From that point on, everything is quotable in this movie and has been quoted almost to a nauseating extent.
Yep.
Where it's gone back around again, where it's cool again. You can quote this. It's fine.
Yeah. After this, you have story number 1, which is Vincent and Marcellus's wife. They get to the strip club with the briefcase. Marcellus is talking to a boxer, Butch, basically paying him to throw a fight. And when Vincent and Jules walk in, they're in like shorts and t-shirt. It looks like they just went to the beach, when in the scene before they're in suits. And again, this is really cool of Tarantino. Like, it's not something you're like, that's weird. They were just in suits and now they're dressed like this. And then you just forget about it again until the end where it's brought up again. So
you just fall into it. And we talk a lot about 90s dialogue in movies.
Yeah.
And this is one of the instances where the dialogue is so LA specific.
Yes.
To this time that it works. These conversations that they're having were very real conversations that people in that area were having at the time.
Yep.
The cadence, the way they're going back and forth, the amount of motherfuckers being used, it was very, very genuine.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was probably the best part about it.
I'll say this. I don't know if when Samuel L. Jackson gets the part for a movie, if the motherfuckers are already in the script or he just adds them, because it's so natural for him.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Dude, I'm pretty sure George Lucas in the Star Wars prequels was just like, did you want to throw a motherfucker in? Because if you do, I'll toss an R rating on this bitch. I don't care.
We're
like,
down.
It's you, Sam. We'll do whatever you want.
So this is where Butch and Vincent kind of butt heads at the bar. So Marcellus is leaving town. Vincent's supposed to take Marcellus's wife out for a good time, like to maybe a dinner, and everybody's busting his balls about it. And, you know, he's like, it's not a date, it's not a date. And as it gets closer, he gets more nervous because there's the story from earlier that somebody got thrown off a balcony for rubbing her feet one night. So now he's nervous to take her out. So,
and I love this scene too, because he's also very clear, like, I'm going to sit across from her. This is one of Travolta's, by the way, best roles he's ever had.
Oh, absolutely.
And on account of that, I was afraid to come here and show up in front of you guys.
Because he's able to, when he bounces this off of the bartender, and he's just like, look, I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm going to sit across from her. I'm going to chew my food. I'm going to laugh at her fucking jokes, and I'm going to leave. That's it. And he even has that same conversation later in this story to himself in the bathroom mirror. Like, he has to remind himself.
Vincent visits his drug dealer Lance, played by Eric Stoltz, and buys some heroin. Apparently some premium heroin. That looks a lot like cocaine.
And Eric Stoltz is the most racist drug dealer ever.
That's a bold statement.
Well, your sales approach is very aggressive.
Yes.
Like, because Travolta's like, I've been to Amsterdam. And then Eric Stoltz goes on this like racist tirade about why he doesn't care about Amsterdam. It's like, dude, chill. Well, you can just say you know the heroin game.
Yes,
that's fine.
Yes. Well, and he goes into like, this is white people shit. Like, okay, cool.
White people who want good shit know where to go. I guess, like, pick up some heroin, some cross-burner material, whatever you need.
We're gonna get some hoods. Some sheets. It's going to be great.
Oh, you're such a racist bastard, Mr. Hat.
And cue to Wild Things. This is how you make people look like white trash. Just FYI.
Yes.
They did.
Because Roseanne Arquette is beautiful.
Yeah, and Tarantino did a good job. Like, we're going to make you look homeless.
A horrible shaved mullet. Piercings everywhere.
So
and the fucking attitude. Let me tell you something, Jody. You're an asshole.
They're both assholes.
Oh, they totally are. He's racist. She's an asshole. They deserve each other.
Match made in heaven. Vincent gets the heroin from Eric Stoltz. He shoots up there, apparently just to, like, I don't know, chill him out before he goes on the big date with Uma Thurman. So he shows up to her place, or to Marcellus's place, picks her up, and they go to 1950s style, like, themed restaurant.
I don't know if that was big on the East Coast, because I grew up west.
Coming from the west side.
But those restaurants, those like themed, like 50s throwback restaurants were huge.
Yeah,
we had one in my area called Ed DeBevick's. And it was the exact same format, just like 50s, and everybody was different things, and they literally had twist contests. It was crazy.
Yeah, like on the East Coast, everybody had the attitude. Like if you walked into one of those places, everybody's attitude would be like, "Get the fuck on, just give me a burger, stupid." They go to this restaurant. They're having, polite conversation. She goes to the bathroom to do some blow, and she comes back and enters them into a dance contest for the twist. Like, there's a couple of things in this that Tarantino just throws in. I'm like, was there a need for this? Did Travolta have it in his contract that he's got to dance?
Sure did.
This is one of those scripts that would have played so easily into a book.
Yeah.
Because it's so driven by the dialogue. Because their conversations, even when Travolta's kind of schooling her on who's Marilyn Monroe, Mimi Van Doren, Jay Mansfield has the night off, her coming back from the restroom after getting her little toot and making the comment about her food. Don't you just love it when your food's waiting for you when you come? That's one of those things where it's like, I've never heard that actually said out loud before, but yeah. I do love that. Like, so many things in this movie that come out in their dialogue, it's just like, I've never heard anybody say it out loud, but I'm on board. Yes.
No,
like,
absolutely. Exactly.
There's so many great things. And then, they do this was where I should get very annoyed with Mia Wallace as a character.
Yes.
Because she won't tell her joke.
Yeah.
Right, from her pilot.
Yep.
And then it's a whole production. No way I'm going to tell it now. It's been built up too much. She's jacketed Travolta's rolled cigarettes. Like, you got your own.
Roll me one of those, cowboy.
Even when she's grilling him about the Tony Rocky Horror that they threw off the window for rubbing her feet, allegedly.
Yes.
And that conversation and how she's like, did it involve the F word? If that rumor's floating around, do you really think somebody's bringing it up? Even if they're fucking strung out on heroin right now? No way.
Exactly.
Just a lot of those little things in there. And then when they get on stage and she goes,
Mrs. Mia Wallace.
Vincent Vega.
That part, I'm just like, yo, I'm done with her. Whatever she is, it's too extra for me.
Well, she does. I will say this about Uma Thurman. I will say this about Uma Thurman. She is a fantastic actress. And
100%.
Her playing the coked up, like, weirdo is perfect. And her dialogue and how she delivers it is just on point. Like, that it's perfect. But they go into this whole dance thing. I don't understand why they take off their shoes.
Well, you got to get a good twist on with your socks.
You can't with your shoes. I'm weird about shoes and feet and things. But like,
it is a restaurant. That's the one thing I'll give you. There's people eating their food and you got your socks off, just rubbing them into the floor. I'm okay with that.
That bothered me. I was just gonna
it's like you're grinding cheese right now. You're grinding your toe jam down. I'm cool with that.
Is that a fact?
I will say this too. She dances. Speaking on Uma's performance, I call her Uma. We're all friends.
Oh, okay.
On Uma's performance here, she dances so much like a cokehead here. It's brilliant. Like, because she starts off with the normal twist, and then her shit gets a little wild. She starts switching up the different dance moves and shit.
Yeah,
she's all over the place.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And of course, Travolta's wonderful.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely. He's gorgeous. He's wonderful in this.
He glides.
So they win the dance contest, we see from the trophy, when they get home. Yes. So he drives her home. He immediately goes to the bathroom to psych himself out of having sex with Uma.
They have the two different types of silence. And this is what I mean with Tarantino. It's so fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Because they discuss the first comfortable silence. Yeah. Where it's just cool when you can just sit in a room with somebody and you don't have to say a fucking word. I have never known that person. I'm constant. Then they have that second silence where it's like, ooh, I got to go check myself real quick because I'm about to do something I should not be doing.
Yes, exactly. And he goes into the bathroom, has the talk in the mirror. Like, listen, we've all at some point in our lives have had the talk in the mirror, whether in this situation or another. Although my conversations with myself in the mirror take a combined total of 15 seconds. Here's a PSA. And hi, kids. If you're going to have that talk with yourself in the mirror, you know, whether you're moralizing something, I shouldn't do this for X or whatever, and you're trying to talk yourself into or out of something in the mirror, if it lasts longer than 15 seconds, you're a psycho. Just throwing that out there.
That's true.
Travolta's in there for like 10 minutes having a whole dialogue with himself.
It is Uma Thurman, so you really got to talk yourself off that ledge.
Yeah, I get it.
I will say, sharing my own personal stories with you, 2020 and going into 2021 now, my conversations in the mirror have been more or less like, do you need to masturbate for a third time today?
Hell yes.
While he's in the bathroom, she's dancing around, taking more of his cigarettes in his jacket. She finds a little pouch of heroin. She thinks it's coke, does a line, nose bleeds. She goes into convulsions. He comes out of the bathroom and finds her with her mouth foaming. And again, whoever did makeup and shit here, fantastic job. She goes from looking really good to looking like a truck hitter. And dude, she plays this part fantastic.
If you're ever flirting with the idea of hard drugs,
just watch
this scene from start to finish, because it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, it's brutal. Horrific. It's brutal. And Travolta freaks out. He throws her in his car, takes her back to Lance's house. This is actually really great by Eric Stoltz here when he's on the phone and he's like, "Are you calling me from a cellular phone?"
I don't know you. Who is this? Don't come here. I'm hanging up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Travolta has seemed like this very cool, very in charge, very tough guy up to this point. You've seen him do nothing that shows any sign of a weakness.
Yeah.
Right? And then they get to this part, and he is losing his mind.
Yes.
He goes so far, and I know he's a hitman and he's in organized crime, whatever. But he goes so far as to threaten his drug dealer.
Well, I will be forced to tell him that you did not help and that you let her die in your fucking lawn. Now, come on, help me.
That's a no-no. You don't threaten your drug dealer. If you've ever bought drugs, you know you don't threaten your drug dealer ever, because you're going to need more drugs eventually.
This isn't like Costco. You can't just pick a new location. He takes him there. They get the adrenaline shot out. And they go back and forth, like, you do it. No, the next time I bring a chick over to your house, like, I'll do it, but you got to do it here. This is your fucking problem.
Which was, again, a great line. Like, get the fuck out of here.
So they do it in this. Because again, I haven't seen this in so long. When I saw this scene play out again, it brought back the same feelings that I had the first time. Because you see it, and again, Uma Thurman, fantastic. He hits her with it. She immediately shoots up and she's all over the place. This whole scene is amazing.
Because you're just so like, oh my God, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the sound of the stabbing into her chest cavity, her going immediately and wigging out. Dude,
the whole thing is
intense.
And then the next scene is him taking her home and them having the little conversation about, like, let's not tell your husband because we're both dead if we do. She tells the joke at the end, and that's how that whole part ends, that story 1. And then it cuts to story 2, which is Butch's story and the gold watch.
Which is my least favorite story.
It really is, although, like, okay, so this is the problem that I had with it. And back when I saw it originally, it was like, oh, it's some humor and yada yada, because you have Christopher Walken basically taking 5 minutes to talk about shoving watches in people's asses. And it's like, oh, yeah, and your dad shoved it up his ass, and then I shoved it up my ass. And then, so this watch has been up people's asses for fucking 10 years, and now it's yours.
And I guarantee you, every drama student in high school, when they had to give their monologue to audition for the school play that year, gave that fucking monologue.
5 long years he wore this watch. Up his ass.
This story was almost like an intermission. So, this is who Bruce Willis is. He grew up, he got his dad's watch, yada, yada. And this is obviously a dream. Butch wakes up from his dream, and he's at the boxing match, and instead of throwing the fight, he ends up killing the boxer that he's facing that night, which means he screws over Marcellus Wallace and whoever else put money on the fight.
And this guy's family.
Yes. Yeah,
fuck you. And he's so callous about it, too, when he finds out.
Yeah.
Like, you killed the other man.
I don't feel the least bit bad about it.
Then he's on the phone later and it's like, you shouldn't have got in the fucking ring with me in the first place. Like, dude, you're supposed to be the guy we're rooting for.
He acted like that's what he does. He kills people with his fists. Like, that's like, what did he expect? Right? I killed the last 4 fighters. Of course I'm going to kill you too.
Who are you, Clubber Lang? Calm down.
He gets the hell out of Dodge. He takes a cab, takes it back to the hotel or the motel that him and his girlfriend, his French girlfriend, are staying at. So he goes in, it's him and Fabian, his French girlfriend. In the morning, they're going to go to wherever the fuck, Butch's hometown, and collect all his winnings because he bet on himself.
Not before oral pleasure and blueberry pancakes.
Will you give me oral pleasure?
The next morning, he finds out that she forgot to pack his dad's ass watch in his luggage. He flips out and decides he has to go back to his apartment to get said watch.
And this is where I don't understand a part of their relationship, I guess, because they seem like they've been together for a long time. He's putting up with a lot of bullshit to get this girl to run away with him. Like, they've been together for a long. He can't leave her, or she's as good as dead too. Is what the way they make it seem, and he is very much in love with her. Fine, you put up with a lot of shit while you're in love. He's never told her about the watch.
No.
Like, that's the most important thing in your life, and you've never told her the story.
Well, that's the thing, because after he leaves and goes to his apartment, drives over to his apartment, in the car, there's the shot of him, and he's like, I fucking told her to get the watch. I told her it was important. All he did was tell her that this watch that's hanging from the kangaroo, she needed to pack. And she's like, well, it's a fucking pack. It's a goddamn watch. Like, yeah, I forgot about it. If you told him your dad shoved it up his ass for 7 years so he could give it to you, maybe she would have remembered it. Just the thought.
The way she seems to care about you, she probably would have shoved it up her own ass to give it to you.
Exactly.
And that's my problem. It's like, how do you not tell her that story to begin with? If that is literally the only thing you care about, one, tell her the story. 2, have it on your person. If I have something that I care about more than anything, and it's like that, a watch or a ring, whatever,
it's on.
I'm having it on me.
Yep, absolutely. And, quick PSA number 2. Hey, kids, communication is good in a relationship. You might want to tell them some shit, like, if you're in it for the long haul. So, all right.
Ask all my ex-wives how important communication is.
After this, he drives over to his apartment. He parks like 2 blocks away. He's very cautious about getting back in. He gets back in. He finds the watch. He puts the watch on. He's making some Pop-Tarts or whatever. And he notices a gun just laying on the kitchen counter.
A great scene. However, you got in, you got your watch, right?
Get the fuck out.
You're like, get the fuck out.
Exactly.
That's how you're going to keep underestimating you, Butch. No, they're not. You're making fucking toaster strudel. Go back and get your pancakes. My guess is it's a diner in L.A. They're going to serve him 24 hours a day.
He finds the gun. Here's the toilet. Travolta comes out of the bathroom. There's this like silent standoff, stare down kind of thing. I did like this and how Tarantino did this. The toaster strudels pop up out of the toaster, and he just executes Vincent here.
Which seemed very realistic. Like if you're not a person that handles a firearm very often.
Yep.
Once that thing jumped and made that noise, it kind of would have scared the shit out of you. That's pull that trigger.
That's why I like the scene, because the way it's shot and all, it made it seem more real. So
yes, even the realistic part of the smoke alarm going off, because if you've ever made a toaster strudel, even a generic one, more importantly, your fucking shit's gonna go off.
Yes. After this, he hops in his car. He's got his watch. He's happy-go-lucky time. He's about to skip town, and Marcellus Wallace walks in front of his car. They make eye contact. He throws the car into gear, hits Marcellus. He goes over the top of the car, and then Bruce Willis gets smashed by another car. So they're both injured. Neither one of them are dead. They're both injured, and then the chase starts. Marcellus is shooting at Butch. Through the
Marcellus is fresh out of fucks.
Yes, he's
shooting everything.
He's shooting him through the streets of LA, just out in the broad daylight, and the fight spills over into the pawn shop. Marcellus gets knocked out by Bruce Willis, and Bruce is standing over him. The pawn shop owner pulls out his shotgun, knocks Bruce Willis out. Fade to black, fade up from black. They're both hogtied in the fucking basement of the pawn shop with ball gags in their mouth. I don't know about you. I have a very strong like gag reflex. If I even see that kind of stuff, I'm like, what? I can't deal with it. Maynard calls his cousin Zed, who apparently works as a security guard, to come over and check things out.
And I don't know about you, but when I first saw this movie, I didn't know what a Gimp was. I literally heard the theater gasp when they said, get the Gimp. Because apparently every adult went, oh, shit. Like, I know exactly what's going to happen. And I'm looking around like, what do you mean? Like, he's hobbled? There's a guy with a limp?
Bring out the Gimp.
That was what the day my innocence said goodbye.
That was the day the music died. In Corey. Zed and Maynard wake up the Gimp. They tie up the Gimp and have him watch over Butch while they take Marcellus into this back room. And I did like the slow motion as they're closing the door. It was so creepy.
It's rough.
And again, and I know I'm like making out with Tarantino this whole video, but the way he uses slow motion in his movies is fantastic. But this, they shut the door. You just hear noises coming out. Bruce Willis gets out of his ties, his hog ties, knocks the Gimp out, and goes to leave the pawn shop. And then he has an attack of conscience. Bruce Willis's character, this seemed out of character for Bruce Willis to me. But his character didn't seem like he would have an attack of conscience. His character seemed like he'd be like, too bad, so sad, bud. I gotta get the fuck out of here.
I'm not calling the cops to help you. Have fun being the new Gimp. I'm going.
He comes back in, grabs a samurai sword from the pawn shop, and goes back downstairs, opens the door, and then you see it. You see Marcellus Wallace he is getting raped by Zed as the creepy cousin, the pawn shop owner is like, yeah.
Do it. All of it. And that's the moment where you're like, you know what, Bruce? Good on you for having a good conscience. Because nobody, man or woman, I don't give a shit. Nobody deserves to go out that way.
Not like that. Not like that's just, the whole scene when he opens the door is creepy. And to say the least.
And this is one of those, like, oh, now that I'm older and the age we live in now, I watch this and I'm like, wow, the patriarchy is kind of a real thing because there were movies like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, where rape is just fucking everywhere.
Yes.
And nobody said a goddamn word about it.
Nope.
This was probably the least graphic rape of all of the other movies I have mentioned. Mm-hmm. And all anybody talked about.
I was going to say,
oh my God, they showed a guy getting raped.
Yes. It was, literally one of the most talked about, like, I'm mortified. Oh my God. And again, for me, is as much as it's all of these, I'll just get this out in the open. All of these rape scenes in movies, for me, I'm like, I guess just leave it to the imagination if you're going to put it in there. Like, I don't need to see it because I cringe every time I see that stuff. But
very rarely does that drive the story.
Exactly. And again, out of all of them, like, I guess this is the most fitting. Like, okay, this makes sense. Like, they're two redneck hillbillies that like,
right. And it kind of, again, this furthers the story along.
Yes, because
Thelma and Louise, which is more graphic to me than this was, that drove the story along.
Yes. Bruce Willis comes in, kills Maynard, the shop owner, and then is holding Zed with his samurai sword. Marcellus breaks free. He has the shotgun, and he shoots Zed in the dick.
And I was so mad that he did. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Zed's going to bleed out. If you've ever shot a guy in the dick, you know that Zed's going to bleed out before anybody shows up.
I have never shot a guy in the dick. Just full disclosure.
Oh, yeah. Hey, me either, okay? Me either. You're right. Good call.
Is that a fact?
But he's going to bleed out well before.
Yeah.
Well before anybody gets there to go to work on Holmes with a pair of pliers and a blowtorch.
Yes.
It's just not going to happen. I was so mad. I would have rather him, like, popped him in the foot and then just, again, let it play to our imagination that Zed is really in deep shit because now they can actually keep him alive.
Yes.
Zed's realistically alive for about an hour at best with some medical attention.
Absolutely. So, and again,
I was very disappointed.
And again, like you said, this furthers the story along because Ving Rhames and Bruce Willis here have the discussion of what's this do for us? Because Marcellus is wanting to kill him because of the whole boxing thing. And basically Marcellus just says, you don't ever mention this and you leave LA and we're straight. We're good. So.
And the delivery here was great too, because he goes, two things. One, don't tell nobody about this, which of everything that's going on right now in Marcellus Wallace's world, number one, don't tell anybody about this.
Yes.
And again, this is what drives me crazy. If I could go back into my feminist diatribe. Everybody says, don't tell anybody about this. He's 100% right. I would never tell anybody if that happened to me. I'm disposing of this fucking guy. It's done.
Yep.
Done. We're never mentioning it. Right?
Yep.
What's the first thing when you hear somebody accuse anybody of the exact same thing nowadays?
Yeah.
Well, it took you so long to say something.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you embarrassed?
Yeah.
Go fuck yourselves.
Well, and Ving Rhames in this scene, like when he breaks free, shoots Zed, he does a great job in here because Bruce Willis looks at him and goes, "Are you okay?" And he delivers the line,
"I'm pretty fucking far from okay."
It was amazing. He delivers it beautifully. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah. Like you say things to people like that, like, "Hey, are you okay? Everything all right?" Like just kind of as offhanded, what do you say to somebody in that situation besides, "Are you okay?" And the response is just perfect for that situation. So
he's not yelling.
Yep.
He's not.
No, he's shaken
trying
up.
To be tough.
Yeah.
He sounds like a person that has just been raped.
Yes.
It is like, no, I'm pretty fucking far from okay.
Yes.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Even though I get to do whatever I'm going to do to Zed, I'm still a very long way from being
So Bruce Willis takes off. He gets his honey bunch French Fabian, and they take off.
Oh my God. Thank God I said so many pro-feminist things here before, because I'm about to trash this piece of shit.
Because now I'm about to tear it all down.
Oh my God. So.
Oh no, me too, because I got notes.
It's not a man or a woman thing even.
No,
it's just when you are told, when you know the score,
yes.
and you're told, I show up, I'm bloody, I'm on a different vehicle, I'm telling you from downstairs, hurry the fuck up, we gotta go.
Yeah, don't worry about the clothes.
Now it's question time.
Yeah.
Wait till we're on the train and out of California, then start yammering away. Ask me all the questions you want, but I gotta stop now in the middle of our grand escape after all I've fucking just been through.
Yep.
Well, I gotta stop now and ask you if you got your blueberry pancakes because you're crying?
He told her before he left, she said, "Are we in danger?" And he said, "Yes."
If they find us, they'll kill us, won't they?
And then he gets back. Her car's trashed. He said he crashed her car. I got this motorcycle. Don't worry about the clothes. Get down here. We got to go. And then she just starts asking questions. This isn't 20 questions. Hop on the back of the chopper and we're getting the fuck on out of here. Yeah. Like, did I not explain it to you? Good. Which leads me to believe that he did tell her the story about the watch and she just didn't remember.
She's a selfish asshole, is the bottom line.
So we cut to story 3, the Bonnie situation. Flashes back to 3 days earlier. Jules is going through his great monologue. Dude breaks out from the bathroom, shoots at Jules and Vincent with a hand cannon and misses them. Shoots at him like 6-7 times, misses him with every shot.
And actually, the bullets are behind Jules. Like those, Travolta never was going to get hit. There's nothing behind him. It's like around Jules's head.
Yeah.
And then there's like 2 or 3 other holes in the wall that should have went right through Jules's chest.
Yes.
Which is it's kind of cool. It plays along with the whole that they got his soul and blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah. So, and they just it's kind of funny because they just look down, they look at each other and they're like, fuck this. And they just blow the dude away. This leads to the whole miracle talk and divine intervention. So they're arguing about that. They grab Marvin, who is apparently one of Marcellus's guys that was with this
he was the
little gang. Yeah. And they get in the car. Jules and Vincent are still arguing about divine intervention. And Vincent accidentally shoots Marvin in the face, which, again, is a great... This whole scene of the car is fantastic.
Just the line, "Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face." His accent and his way he says it.
"Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face."
Why the fuck you do that?
They drive over to Jimmy's house, one of Jules's buddies, and so that they could stash the car in the garage so that they could call for help and get this all cleaned up. They call Marcellus. Marcellus sends the wolf.
Before they do, Jimmy, let's just say if Jimmy was invited to the barbecue,
he's not anymore.
He's probably not anymore.
No. And let's touch on this for a second, because we'll get into the whole Marcellus calls Winston Wolf. Apparently, Jimmy's wife is also black. He drops the N-word an uncomfortable number of times. Like, and again, I watch movies and it is what it is. If it's a period piece and you know, again, we talk about driving the story, if that's how they really talked and all that stuff. The number of N-words that were dropped in this movie, especially in this scene, is...
This scene alone.
Kind of just made me go, ugh. I don't like this. Like,
this is where it became egregious. Like, this is where I almost have to believe this scene was actually written for a black man and they had to drop out. Like the day of the shoot, and Quentin's like, "Fuck, I guess I'll do it."
Which, you know what? That actually, I would love to see if that's real, because makes sense because Tarantino's in this role.
Yes. And
if Tarantino was the writer and director and somebody dropped out, it would only make sense that I'll jump in. Let's just shoot it. Let's go. He just seems like one of those people that's like, I'll just jump in the scene and deliver it as written.
Okay.
Whether they're excited or I don't care what the situation is. We've all had a friend show up with the dead body in the trunk. Not a big deal. You don't drop the N-bomb. You don't need to do it ever.
Exactly. It was just
not required in any situation.
Harvey Keitel comes in as Winston Wolfe, and
I
he's
love this role.
Dude.
I wanted to be the wolf when I grew up. I saw this and I'm just like, that's my job. I just want to come in and fix your shit and leave.
How do you get that on your resume? Like, how do I get that job? He comes in, starts barking orders, do this, sprays him down, has him wash the inside of the car, sprays him down in the backyard and with the soap and gets them all cleaned up.
Even his monologues through here are or short little conversations he's having with everybody. From Travolta giving him shit to him going, I think fast, I talk fast.
So pretty please, with sugar on top. Clean the fucking car.
From that to Uncle Marcellus is an oak man and he wants to fit you with, oak. To even when he's fucking with him, he's like, I assume you guys have both been to county. Yeah. Strip.
Yes. Harvey Keitel does a fantastic job.
Dude, he for what essentially was 5 to 10 minutes of screen time at most. He was he was the character outside of Jules that I wanted to follow around.
Yes.
I wanted to know what he was doing next.
Absolutely. They dispose of the car and the body at the junkyard that belongs to his girlfriend's dad, I think. I think that's how that works.
I don't even think that's his girlfriend. It's just his friend's daughter.
It's my guma, okay? She owns a junkyard, okay? So he takes her to breakfast, leaves them to do whatever the hell. Yep. So this explains the reason they're in the shorts and T-shirts when they get to the bar earlier. The next scene is them having breakfast at the restaurant that Honey Bunny and Dipsy Doo are robbing.
And again, then you get quotable lines because them sitting at the table having the conversation about eating bacon.
Sewer rat may taste like pumpkin pie, but I'd never know because I wouldn't eat the filthy motherfuckers.
I have literally said that about so many different pieces of food in my life. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. This, and especially this whole piece at the end, it's just chock full of quotable shit.
Oh, yeah.
They go through the whole rigmarole. They try to steal the briefcase. He does the sit down with them, the whole standoff with the gun, gives them the money and lets them walk. And that's the end of the movie.
I think the most iconic, longest lasting piece of this movie, we just glanced over, which was Jules's wallet that read bad motherfucker.
Yeah. Yes.
Because Sam actually has a wallet that says bad motherfucker on it.
Did not know
that.
He
carries with him.
Most definitely.
But yeah, he has that wallet. I've seen that wallet like Spencer Gifts.
I've seen
those type of places.
Yeah. Talk about 1994. You Spencer Gifts.
Well, after we watch our movies, I always go in there just to get an idea, get back in that mode of the 90s.
Go to
I
Spencer's.
Find 3 posters.
Yeah,
you go to
now because they sell those. Yeah, you go to Spencer's Gifts. You go to Sam Goody. Like you're just like, fuck it. I'm doing all kinds of shit. I go to Blockbuster just for shits and giggles.
Steal about 20, 25 CDs from Columbia House.
Just for old time's sake. Here's my penny. Can I get my 47 CDs now?
My name is Raymond Hampton. 1234 Washington Avenue.
So with that being said, I mean, we basically tongue-kissed this movie for, however long we've been recording.
We gave it oral pleasures.
Will you give me oral pleasure?
I mean, this movie obviously still holds up.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce Willis does that thing where he, calls Fabian the R word for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was...
And Quentin goes off on his whole N-word march.
Yeah. Okay.
Outside of those 2 scenes, the movie's great.
Yeah, and listen, the shower scene with Bruce Willis, the name, again, it's 94. The name in the movie does not bother me. It's the impression he does
exactly
afterwards that you're like, oh God, okay. Cool. We're doing that now. All right. Yeah. So that coupled with Tarantino's little monologue. Those were the only two things about this movie that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, it's a star-studded cast. Everybody does freaking fantastic. Tarantino is a fantastic director and a really good writer.
Yes.
Especially when it comes, like you said, when it comes down to dialogue. His dialogue, the way he writes dialogue is amazing.
Yep. He uses music. I think Scorsese's probably the only one that uses music better to help tell the story than Tarantino does. Really, it's a great movie. It's a great story just to sit down and watch. And again, it is a fantastic glimpse, even if it's fiction, a fantastic glimpse of kind of that attitude and that 1990s style. Even down to Jules's Jerry curled mini afro.
Yes, absolutely.
It is just a great snapshot of that time.
Yep. No, absolutely. But I really don't have anything else for this. Do you have anything?
No, this was one of the easiest movies we've ever done. This was just this is a good movie. I don't know what we're going to talk about. So.
Exactly. I watched it. I wrote some notes. I'm like, all right, let's do this. But yeah, that's all I got. So for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1994's Pulp Fiction.